Why signing Khalil Mack is a more likely move for the Packers than trading for Myles Garrett. When evaluating the Green Bay Packers' potential moves in the offseason, one decision stands out as more likely than the other. Signing free agent Khalil Mack is far more probable than trading for Myles Garrett. While both options would undoubtedly make sense for the Packers and align with their goal of improving their defense, the scale of likelihood tips heavily in Mack's favor for several key reasons, especially when considering logistics, financial factors, and past precedents set by the franchise. Logistical simplicity, signing Mack versus trading for Garrett. The most apparent reason why signing Mack is more feasible than trading for Garrett lies in the logistics of both moves. Khalil Mack is currently a free agent, as his contract with the Los Angeles Chargers is set to expire at the start of the new league year. This means that Mack will be available to sign with any team without the need for any trade negotiations or a hefty exchange of assets. For the Packers, this is a straightforward process. Sign the player, negotiate terms, and add him to the roster. On the other hand, Myles Garrett, one of the NFL's premier edge rushers, is currently under contract with the Cleveland Browns. Trading for Garrett would not only require a significant amount of draft picks and potentially a package of young, promising players, but it would also necessitate negotiating a new contract for him. Garrett's new deal would undoubtedly be massive, likely a market-resetting contract at the edge rusher position. Given Garrett's immense talent and status as one of the best defensive players in the league, the cost in both financial terms and future assets would be considerable. Furthermore, we don't yet know if the Browns would even entertain the idea of trading Garrett. Cleveland finds itself in a precarious salary cap situation, and trading away one of the most dominant pass rushers in the league would likely worsen their financial woes. Even with the growing player empowerment in the NFL, it seems unlikely that the Browns would be willing to risk further destabilizing their cap situation by moving Garrett. The cost, salary cap versus draft capital. When you break down the cost of each option, signing Mack is undoubtedly more economical for the Packers. All it takes to sign Mack is available salary cap space. No additional draft picks or young players need to be sacrificed. In contrast, trading for Garrett would require Green Bay to part with valuable draft picks and potentially young, cost-controlled talent. While this is a risk the Packers could consider, it's a much more complicated and expensive path. Player comparison: Mack versus Garrett. While both players are still elite pass rushers, there's a significant gap in their talent levels. Myles Garrett is a generational talent, a player who could be compared to legends like Reggie White in his prime. Garrett's combination of size, speed, and athleticism makes him one of the top 4 or 5 players in the NFL, and his impact on the game is undeniable. Khalil Mack, although not in Garrett's class, remains an exceptional player. He may no longer be in the top tier of edge rushers, but he's still consistently productive. Over the past 2 seasons, Mack has accumulated 140 total pressures, according to Pro Football Focus, PFF. He may not be the dominant force Garrett is, but Mack still represents a significant upgrade to any team's defense and would be a valuable asset to the Packers. One key difference between the two players is age. Mack is set to turn 34 this month, while Garrett is still under 30. This difference in age could play a major role in the Packers' decision-making. They may prefer to invest in Mack for a short-term deal, rather than committing to a player like Garrett, who will likely command a long-term, massive financial commitment. Precedent and historical context. Looking at the Packers' history under general manager Brian Gutekunst, there is a strong precedent for pursuing veteran players. In 2018, the Packers were serious contenders to sign Khalil Mack, but ultimately lost out to the Chicago Bears. That was Gutekunst's first year in charge, and it's clear that he's not afraid to make bold moves when it comes to adding proven talent to the roster. He's also made similar moves in the past, most notably when the Packers signed Julius Peppers to a 3-year deal in 2014, despite Peppers being 34 years old at the time. The Packers may not actively seek older players, but they have proven that they're willing to take a chance on those who can make an immediate impact, and Mack fits that description. The path forward for the Packers. If the Packers are serious about adding a veteran edge rusher this offseason, they will likely have discussions about both Garrett and Mack. There are few game-changing players available at such a crucial position, and under Gutekunst's leadership, the Packers have shown a willingness to spend on veteran talent when they have the cap space to do so. However, despite the appeal of Garrett, it's far more probable that the Packers sign Mack, given the fewer obstacles involved in making that move happen. Trading for Garrett would be an immense commitment of resources, both financially and in terms of future assets. For a team that wants to compete for championships now, especially with the transition to the Jordan Love era, the Packers may find that adding Mack on a short-term deal is the more realistic and impactful move. Ultimately, signing Khalil Mack represents a more plausible path forward for the Packers. While Garrett would undoubtedly be a franchise-altering addition, the complexities and cost associated with acquiring him make it a far more challenging prospect. Signing Mack, on the other hand, could have a similarly significant impact and allow the Packers to strengthen their defense while keeping their long-term financial flexibility intact. If you enjoyed this analysis, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more insights on all things NFL. We'll be keeping you updated on the latest moves and discussions surrounding the Packers and the rest of the league.